I'll record our session this morning. So you may have heard that today is Independence Day. And I think it's a nice opportunity for us to talk about independence and interdependence. A term that we use in our classes frequently is non-duality. And if you're like me, non-duality is a term, just the term I kind of had trouble warming up to. It's just kind of an odd word. And if your experience is like mine was, feel free to just substitute the word non-separateness from non-dual, or let those be synonymous for you, non-separateness and non-dual. So let's take a look at independence and the independence of the United States within a Dharma context. So it is said that the United States is a sovereign nation and is independent, independent from other countries. At the same time, I think we probably can all agree that if we went down to the border, let me just check something. I'm getting a message that my connection isn't stable. Yep, here we go. There we go. That should help some. Okay, sorry about that. If we were to take a field trip, all of us here take a field trip down to the so-called border of Mexico, and we're standing right at the border, and we take one step across the border from the United States into Mexico, and we were to say, we're now in Mexico and we're no longer in the United States. At some really fundamental level, almost at some existential level, I think we could all agree that that is a pretty arbitrary distinction between the United States and Mexico, and to my way of thinking, kind of silly, you know. I step across the line and I'm no longer in the United States, I'm in Mexico. I step back across the line, I'm in the United States now. And so it can be said for a lot of these kind of made up ideas, you know. There are Mexicans and there are Americans, and what qualifies as a Mexican, I guess, is somebody who was born in the country of Mexico. And that's different from an American, someone who was born in the country of the United States. And then there are other distinctions. There's Mexican Americans, people who, I guess it means that they were born in Mexico, but now live in the United States. And that's somehow fundamentally distinct from an American, or maybe somebody who was born in America, or maybe Mexican American means somebody of Mexican heritage who was actually born in the United States and raised there, and that qualifies them to be a Mexican American, or qualifies them to receive the label of being a Mexican American. At some fundamental level, it's really kind of all silly, I think, and all made up ideas, right? The United States is not separate from Mexico or any other country. At the same time, if I decided I was going to take a vacation down to the country, sorry, the state of Oaxaca for a vacation, going to book a plane flight and decided that I wanted to go to Oaxaca, if I approached it thinking, well, the meditation teacher says that the difference between Oaxaca and the United States, Mexico and the United States, is a made-up idea. I want to go to Oaxaca, but I'm going to book a flight to Cleveland because it's less expensive and the connections are better, right? I would get off the plane and be very disappointed. No offense toward the city of Cleveland, but I would be disappointed with the outcome, right? Conventionally speaking, there is a difference between the United States and Mexico, between Cleveland and Oaxaca, right? By convention, we've decided that these are not the same entities. And at the same time, they're not separate to the extent that we regard them fundamentally, ultimately, as, sorry, let me retract that and just say fundamentally and ultimately, Mexico and the United States are not separate. Oaxaca and the city of Cleveland ultimately are not separate. Conventionally, there are differences. They're not the same entity. Ultimately, they're not separate. They ultimately have no inherent distinction or separation. The laws, what constitutes a Mexican or an American or somebody from another country, the geographic boundaries, all made up ideas. So where this starts to take on deeper meaning for us, at least I hope it will take on deeper meaning for you, is the difference between yourself and other people, other situations, inanimate objects, places. To see the non-separateness, for me anyways, there are some phenomena for which it is easier for me to see the non-duality, the non-separateness, than it is for other phenomena. For example, somebody could say to me, you're not separate from that cinder block sitting over there, right? And I guess intellectually, I would understand that that's correct. But experientially, kind of hard for me to see the non-separateness, the non-duality between me and this collection of aggregates, body and mind, between me and a cinder block. Other phenomena, a little bit easier, I think. There are clouds in the sky, and sometimes those clouds produce rain. The rain falls to the ground, is absorbed into the earth, becomes part of this phenomenon called an aquifer. I drink water from the aquifer, it goes into my body, and that makes the clouds not separate from my body. Yeah, those dots are pretty easy to connect, right? At least they are for me. Houseplants. There's kind of a biological exchange that takes place with houseplants. I exhale something, and the houseplants take in whatever. I'm not a biologist, sorry. Somebody like Steve Sands might be able to explain it more articulately than me, but essentially, I exhale stuff that is taken in by the plant, by the house plant in my house, and then the house plant in turn releases oxygen, which I breathe in. There's a non-separateness between me and houseplant, or I guess to be more precise, there's no difference between houseplant and my body. Likewise, I look at the houseplant and say, or think to myself, that houseplant is beautiful and it's pleasant. I really enjoy having it in my residence. Houseplant is thus not separate from my mind, right? I have the feeling of gratitude, appreciation, beauty. The houseplant isn't separate from my mind. Pretty simple and I think pretty compelling examples of non-separateness. So it is with all phenomena in our world, everything. We are not that entity, and we are not separate from that entity. And by the way, those of you who have been contemplating the end of the year one examination, are you an American? Yes or no? Are you a non-American? Yes or no? Basically revealing the answer to that question. Ultimately, the answer to both questions is no. You are not an American. And no, you are not a non-American. You're not a Catholic and you're not a non-Catholic. You're not a houseplant and you're not a non-houseplant. Okay. So anyways, for our meditation this morning, what I want to share with you on this so-called Independence Day, I'm going to share with you a phenomenon that we have, or a practice, or a view that we do frequently in Saturday morning medicine Buddha meditation, and it has to do with something that's called the Dharmakaya. The Dharmakaya. The Dharmakaya is a Tibetan word which means truth body. And for a while now, we have been talking about the Dharmakaya and even practicing it, but we haven't called it as such. And what the Dharmakaya basically says is, or what it is a view and a meditation through which we experience the non-separateness of our body and our mind and everything in the world. Your body and your mind, i.e. your self, your I, the me, your sense of self is not separate from the houseplants. It's not separate from clouds. It's not separate from the furniture of the room in which you're sitting right now. It's not separate from your neighbor. It's not separate from your family members. It's not separate from anything. And meditation on the Dharmakaya, the truth body, is a means through which we can experience that non-separateness of the world and everything in it. Why does that matter? Because when we come to experience directly the non-duality of our body, of our self and all phenomena, then self disappears. The self is everywhere and therefore nowhere. And the self, the finite, discrete, independent sense of self disappears. And if the self disappears, who or what basis is there for us to experience suffering? We experience complete freedom from the limitations and the pain that results from grasping at an inherently existing, independently existing sense of self. So why don't we give that meditation a try now? Let's go ahead and settle into a comfortable meditation posture. Using whichever method you find most effective, please allow both your physical body and your mind to start to settle and rest, to become quiet and still. And when you're ready, please gently transition into meditation on the inner body. Your consciousness is a formless continuum. This means that your consciousness is not confined to the envelope of your skin. As you also know, your body and your consciousness are not separate. Therefore, because your consciousness is not confined to the envelope of your skin, that means that your body is also not confined to the envelope of your skin. Because neither your body nor your mind are confined to the envelope of your skin, that means that your self is not confined to the envelope of your skin. With this recognition, I'd like you to please just allow your awareness to expand and abide both within the envelope of your skin and outside of it. Please be skillful in not trying to direct your awareness to any phenomenon in particular, to any place. Just allow your awareness to travel where it will, travel to what it will travel to, whatever that might be, and just be with this expansiveness. This expansiveness may give rise to a feeling of freedom, perhaps even to a feeling of elation. Again, there's no need to direct your consciousness or your awareness. Just allow it to expand of its own accord and just rest in that expansive state. this non-separateness, this expansiveness is the Dharmakaya, the truth body. This is who you really are, this expansiveness, this connectedness. For the last couple of moments of our meditation this morning, please just rest in this connectedness. Now, very gently, very, very gently, please allow your consciousness to become less absorbed as you begin to arise from meditation. We dedicate all of the merit from this morning's meditation and Dharma talk to world peace. May the residents of the country of Ukraine be completely and permanently freed from their unimaginable suffering. May there be peace in Ukraine, and may the citizens of Ukraine have everything they need to be comfortable and to lead happy, fulfilled lives. May the merit from this meditation and Dharma talk be the cause for the citizens of Russia and the president of Russia to be completely and permanently free from all forms of mental and physical suffering. May they also have everything they need in order to lead happy, contented, peaceful lives. Completely fill up your belly and lungs with air, and when you're ready, you can open your eyes and bring your meditation to an end. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for being here. Have a good day.
Happy 4th, everybody.
Yeah. Bye. Bye, Karen.